You've got ideas, you've got ambition, you've got no time, or so you think. I'm Marissa Lonick, and I help busy moms with big dreams and no time. Join me each week as I dive into time management strategies, goal setting and achieving framework, and inspiring guests who are juggling mom life, work life, fill in the blank life. Dreams don't work unless you do, and just because you're a mom doesn't mean you can't still make it happen, whatever it means to you. Welcome to the Mama Work It podcast. Hey, mama friends, welcome back to the Mama Work It podcast. This week, I am excited to be chatting with Diana Swillinger. Diana is a life coach for women, a business coach for solopreneurs, and the host of the Renew Your Mind podcast. Diana became passionate about coaching after spending her life trying to do the right thing, like be the best mom, wife, business person, going to church, looking presentable, recycling, but she still ended up feeling stuck and miserable. She tried all the things, but the game changer was learning practical ways to renew the mind. Now Diana is on a mission to help other women like her unstuck their brains and stop sabotaging themselves by teaching practical tools that will allow you to enjoy life again. Step into God who created you to be and experience hope, peace, and joy like never before. Diana, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. I think this is going to be really fun. I am all for helping mamas work it. So let's do it.
Oh, love it. Yes. Well, tell us more about your story. How did you get into your work of coaching women and entrepreneurs?
Yeah, well, the stuff you just shared kind of sums it up. The United States and in many cultures around the world just had this idea of what life was supposed to be like. I'm supposed to go to college when I graduate from high school, and then I'm supposed to get married, and I'm supposed to have a good job, and I'm supposed to have 2.5 kids, be a good citizen, all the amazing things. And so I tried to do that, but I really, I had a good job, I had the house, I had the kids, life should be good, but I was miserable, and it was really affecting my marriage too. My marriage ended up being miserable. So I hit a point, I think the turning point for me was like when I was 40. And maybe you get a little reflective when you hit a new decade like that. I'm like, is this it? Really? I did everything I thought I'm supposed to, and I don't love my life. I'm not having fun. I feel kind of miserable. And I guess I'm just going to be stuck here for the rest of my life. And I decided I didn't want that. I'm like, there has to be better. There really does have to be better. So I went on a journey I started with getting some mentors because I always heard that would be a great idea, right? And my mentors started opening up my mind to new ways to think about things. And then I went back to school and I was taking courses on, that would help me in business, but that would be complementary to my life, like communications and working with people, managing people, psychology. And I started getting coached by other people, get a business coach, get a life coach, all these things. And I started to put it all together and I figured out what I was missing. I didn't see it out there by many people in this nice, neat package of how I found it to work. So I had to put it together. Basically, my thoughts were sabotaging me from having the life I wanted. And I didn't even know it because our brains just run on autopilot all the time. So I took all the best things I learned from working with the mentors and going to school and all the research I did, and I distilled it down to a couple practical tools. And I'm like, I've got to share this. If this works for me, I know there's probably dozens, hundreds, thousands of other women who need this too, so they can start loving their life again. Because I do. I totally love my life now. 10 years ago, I was miserable. Now I love my life. This works, and I have to share it. So that's how I got started.
Oh, what an amazing story. And I am so in agreement about mentorship. I think not enough women out there have a mentor. And I don't know if you agree with me on this, but this doesn't necessarily even need to be someone who, you traditionally meet with every week or talk to all the time. Like a mentor can be someone who doesn't even know you exist, I think, out there, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I agree with that. I love mentorship in general. I am all about relationships, and I love you saying that because I don't think I always think about the my invisible mentees, but I do even
Hmm.
now with my coaching practice. I still have a few women that I mentor that aren't in my coaching program, and it's not official coaching, but I love that way of giving back. I think it's so important. And I think as we rise as women, it's one of the best ways we can give back.
Yeah, absolutely. Agree 100%. So let's talk about being stuck. How do our brains keep us stuck?
Yeah, I think it would be interesting for some people, if they're really interested in this question, to go back to. I listened to one of your episodes where you had Dr. Sarah Allen on, a neuropsychologist.
Yes.
She really laid the groundwork on a lot of what's going on in our brains and why we're stuck. And she talked about insight being key. I call it awareness. But if we can start figuring out what's going on in going on in our brain, we can figure out what's keeping us stuck. But one of the ways, or several ways, I guess, we can notice that we're stuck and kind of what it might look like practically in your life is that you spin on thoughts about like all the what ifs, or you don't know how to move forward, whatever that is for you. Or maybe you're like, I'm feeling some fear and I don't know how to move forward, or I feel overwhelmed and I don't know how to move forward, or I feel some doubt and I don't know how to move forward. Or we're just spinning in general in beliefs that don't serve us. And this is one of the sneakiest ways because it's hard for us to notice. Like we just establish beliefs over our life. We grow up in a home where our parents are imparting beliefs, the teachers are imparting beliefs. We watch the news and we listen to podcasts and we read books, and beliefs are being imparted on us all the time. And we're not actively participating in deciding what we want to believe. So this can be one of the most powerful ways to get unstuck too. I actually forgot what your original question was. Did I answer it yet?
No, no, totally, totally. This is amazing. Um, I wanted to also kind of follow up with these signs, and I feel like you're getting right into it for me. So the signs that you're feeling stuck are, you're kind of in this spiral, like you said, like the what if, the fear, anything else that we should be paying attention to if we're not even really aware that we're stuck. Because I think you get stuck on this hamster wheel of life, especially when you're a
Yeah.
busy working mom, that you may not even realize how stuck or unhappy you might be in that moment or in that season,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think I didn't even know I was stuck until I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so thick in the mud. Like, how did I get here? I didn't realize I was on this journey." And yeah, I don't want to overuse the word stuck. And I've even been challenged by some people like, "Do people really use that word?" I'm like, "Yes, we do. As women, we use it all the time when we talk about where we end up." So I think noticing that you're getting there is really helpful, but the best way to notice anything's wrong in our life, and I'll use it with this feeling of feeling stuck or miserable or overwhelmed or whatever, but it's our emotions. And I think you've talked about this on the podcast before too, but our emotions are huge in our life as they are keys to helping us figure out what's going on. I mean, we can use them to on purpose to propel us, and maybe we'll talk about that later. But just to get the awareness and know what's going on, I like to think of our emotions like a beacon, like a red flashing light, if we're willing to pay attention. But sometimes we're so busy, we don't like the lights flashing, we're not paying attention. We need to pay attention. Those moments where you stop for 5 minutes and you're like, gee, I'm feeling discouraged. We don't stay there. We tend to get up and get back busy. So, some of the emotions that I think are really great beacons to tell us something's wrong, pay attention, is, and even if you feel them in a few moments, defeated, discouraged, exhausted. That's a big one with mamas who are trying to make things work. Overwhelmed. And then these, I think we just think, oh, this is just life, but annoyed, irritated, frustrated, all of these are indicators that we're just staying stuck in a disempowered place. And we might just be sabotaging ourselves from what it is we really want in life. And we need to pay attention.
Yeah, I am so glad that you said that. I think self awareness is so crucial, and especially in this area. I don't know if you're aware, but at Mama Work It, I have a journal planner that has come out like late last year. And I'm not a journaler, even though I like to write. And I know, in this season, a lot of moms would think about journaling and kind of laugh out loud and be like, yeah, okay, who's got time for that? But I think it's so important to take those few minutes every day to really reflect on how you're feeling. Like you said, the emotional aspect of it. And some of the prompting questions in there are like, how did I feel when I woke up this morning? How do I feel right now? This is meant to be done at night. And really tapping into that, right? Because if you're going to bed every night feeling like defeated, resentful, any of those feelings that you mentioned, you're doing something wrong, right? And you got to kind of switch it up and
Yeah.
change up how you're managing your day and how you're kind of planning things out in life and how you're doing life in general. Otherwise, you are going to get into that rut. And I know we are overusing the word stuck, but I don't care. It makes sense here, So
Yeah.
definitely. All right. So tell us, how do we actually fix this? So if we're in this situation, how do we fix it so we help our brains create the life we want instead of sabotaging it?
Yeah. For me, I knew I wanted to fix this, right? Like I said, I had that turning point and I wanted to feel better. I wanted a life that made more sense and lined up with what I was looking to get out of life and experience and contribute back to life. But I didn't have the how. That's what was totally missing. And that's what I love to share. And this is why I'm going to just keep shouting this from the rooftops until I die. I am not going to stop. But we need to know how to get in there and interrupt what's going on with our brains just automatically observing life and then having unconscious thoughts or processing what we think about it through our own belief system that we're not investigating or challenging, letting all of that happen on an automatic because we're so busy. And then we have these feelings. And when we have all these feelings, guess what? If you're feeling exhausted, discouraged, resentful, overwhelmed, the way you behave is going to come out of those emotions. Notice you can't feel irritated and go around and not be a little snarky because when you're feeling irritated all the time, you're going to be a little snarky. When you're feeling exhausted all the time, you're going to go around like that all the time. And then it affects all the things we do. So we can get in there and interrupt it. I didn't invent this. I just this from cognitive behavioral therapy, which I love. This was the key that really, this was my biggest aha moment. And I'm like, how do I make this practical for everybody? Because we don't all need to go to counseling to get someone to teach us some psychological theories that work. So what if I could make this practical and put it in the hands of everybody I know? And so I just distilled the cognitive behavioral therapy, which is there's circumstances in life, and then we have thoughts about those circumstances, and then we have emotions that stem from our thoughts, and out of those emotions, we're going to behave, and then it's a cycle. And they make it a little complex sometimes in psychology. For me, I'm like, give it to me straight. So I'm like, there's what we think, what we feel, what we do. Think, feel, do. Think, feel, do. All of this together is going to produce what I get. What I think will create what I feel, will influence what I do, and that's going to give me what I get. Now I have the key to change it all. And it's not just as simple as knowing it. We do have to spend some time working. I know people are going to listen to this now. They'll be like, great, I have the key. I'll just go change those things. But it takes some practice. And so be patient with yourself. But listen, if you know what you want to get in life, you can even reverse engineer this. You can figure out what it is you want, and then you can decide what kind of things you're going to have to do to make that happen. And then you can figure out what do I need to feel to end up in those behaviors. And then you can work on your thoughts.
Yeah, so simple, but not always easy. I agree. Simple, but not always easy. I got that from Elizabeth Lyon's book. Have you read that? It's called Enough. It's a really good read.
Oh, I think it's on my I have a huge Amazon to read list. Pretty sure that one is on there, but I haven't read it yet.
Yes, it's really, really good. All right. So when you work with women, especially moms, what is the most common issue they're facing? And what are some steps you encourage them to do?
It comes out in different words for everybody, but I think the most common thing, the way I would put the most common thing I see is that people think they're the unicorn. Each person I'm coaching thinks I'm the unicorn. And I don't mean that in a good way. Like I'm the unicorn where everything magic is going to happen. No, I'm the unicorn. I'm the one odd person out who's not worthy. I'm the one odd person out who's unlovable. I'm the one odd person out who's messed up. But we all think that. Isn't that funny? We all think we're the one unicorn and we're not. Yet still, and this is where we get stuck, right? We're like, but it seems so true. They've got it together. They have a successful business. Their kids are going to Stanford, whatever it is. They've got it figured out. I'm the one who's struggling. And so the best place I like to start with people here is with their thoughts. We've got to shift out of the thought that's making you think that. This can be kind of individual when we think I'm not worthy or I'm not lovable or I'm the one that's messed up. We're each going to have our own thought. Well, do you know, Marissa, is there a thought that you've had? Have you noticed one along the way that resonates with those categories?
Oh, yes.
What's yours?
Yes, and I've come a long way from it. So I used to have that unworthy thought all the time. Like I'm unworthy of taking time out for myself or spending money on myself or, doing something that's not serving someone in my family or in my circle. Absolutely.
Do you know why? Did you ever discover why, or what do you think now? Like, why did you think you were unworthy?
I think exactly what you said, just those ingrained beliefs that you think this is the, have all be all because that's what you've been thinking about so long. It just feels like the truth for you. But
Yeah.
in all honesty, right, you made that up.
Yes.
Like you decided on that rule. So change it.
Yeah, like just uncovering that, even if we put 5 women in the same room and we talked about what is your life supposed to look like for you to know that you're worthy, everybody would have a different story. We just make it up. So I
Hmm.
love starting here with women and I'm like, what is the real story? Like, are you supposed to have 2 kids and make 6 figures and live in a suburb? Or are you supposed to live in a penthouse in the city? Are you supposed to live on a beach in Florida? Are you supposed to be self-employed or work in corporate? Or what is it? Like, we just make this stuff up. And if we do all these things, then we're doing it right. And then we'll allow ourselves to think we're worthy. So I take us back to just the very core of it all with the truth. We got to get to the truth. Is it true that you have to meet this list of stuff or be this kind of person to be worthy? Or is it more true that you were born a human being I believe God created each one of us on purpose, the way we are, thoughtfully, and in his image. And if that's true, then we're all worthy just because we exist, just because we were created. We have inherent value and worth. Is that possibly true? And even, listen, some people don't even believe that when I offer that to them. Then we just start with a maybe. Maybe. Maybe it's true that all humans are born inherently worthy and I am just as valuable as the person next to me. Maybe that's true. And then start there.
Yes. Getting deep here. I like it.
Yeah, you know what though? This is at the core of everyone I coach. We might not start there, but at some point, if they're invested in the work, we get there because we all want to feel worthy. It's in there for each one of us.
Yes. Definitely. And I think that's a really hard one, like you said, for women and for moms, especially because when you become a mom, it's like all of a sudden you're just this selfless person that does everything for everyone. And you kind of forget about the most important person, to be honest, because if you're not filling your cup, how are you filling everyone else's? Right. So, love this.
Right.
Okay. Now, what about entrepreneurs? A lot of our listeners are mompreneurs. What's the biggest obstacle
Hmm.
they can't seem to overcome, and how do you help them?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I don't know if this will surprise you at all, but it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing as we just talked about. Questioning if we're the one who can do it. Do I have what it takes? Am I worthy enough to do this? Will people see me as someone who's valuable? Will people buy what I'm telling them? Will they accept it? Will they think I'm offering value? It's the same thing ultimately. But the fun thing when we're in the entrepreneurial space, if I'm coaching women one-on-one, where we're getting into kind of their core of their being, and we're helping them, love their life. When I'm coaching an entrepreneur, they have a goal they want for their business. And the same kind of like, oh, I'm the one who can't make this work, or there's a right way to do this and I'm not going to figure it out. I mean, really, it's all this at the same idea of just thinking, I don't know if I believe in me. So I mentioned the reverse engineering before. I love to do that with entrepreneurs. I just worked through this with somebody yesterday, and what we did is we decided what she wanted to get. Like I said, we have what you think, what you feel, what you do, and then the result is what you get. She decided what she wanted to get in her business. And I'm like, great, now you know that. What behavior, what actions, what tangible things do you need to do to create that outcome? We can usually think of that. We might not be totally right. We might be guessing on some things, but we can pretty much decide like, okay, I want to make a certain amount of money in my business. I want to sell my course, whatever it is. I'm going to have to make offers. Well, I'm going to have to create a course. I'm going to have to have it housed on the internet. I'm going to have to share it with people. Maybe I'm going to need to get out there and talk about it on podcasts. We can come up with all these things that we need to do, right? Then this is the super fun part, and this is where I geek out. If that's what we want to do, take it one step backwards. What do I need to feel? And this person I coached yesterday, I like to see where they're at first. So, because, if you kind of explore what you think you need to feel first, and then you get somebody to help you realize what you need to feel, it ingrains it a little deeper. So we stayed there a little bit. She's like, I need to feel excited. And we talked about that for a while. I need to feel excited. I need to feel motivated. I need to feel excited. Okay, great. But when we really dove in and looked at it, we realized she had some fear about doing this. And the true emotion she was going to need to feel was courage. She didn't know that. She didn't know that to reach her goals in her business, she was going to have to feel courage. She thought she just needed to feel excited and motivated. Now that we knew that, well, and she realized too, if I'm going to have to feel some courage, that means I might have some fear. You don't need courage if you don't have fear. Courage is only useful because you have fear. So she accepted that she might have some fear. She recognized she was going to need to feel courage. And then we got to come up with a thought. What are you going to think? What are you going to think to feel courage? And we decided this could be all sorts of things. You guys might hear this today. This thought might work for you, but you might need a different one. This might not be your thought because every brain needs different thoughts to fuel the emotions they want. But the thought that she decided to have is I'm willing, even when I have fear. That thought helped her feel courage. That thought then would help her feel courage and do the things she needed to do to create the outcome she wanted in her business.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that in kind of an exemplary way, because I think sometimes we hear this simplicity of the, think, feel, do, get. And we're like, okay, it sounds really simple, but how does that apply to me? And I love that just full throttle example of how that worked for your client.
Yes, you're welcome. That's a good one. That'll help a lot of people, I'm pretty sure. That's how I got my business going too, honestly.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, so what about you? How has being a working mom impacted you specifically in this area of your life?
What I wanted to feel to make this work was acceptance. I think as working moms, we can look around and we can see things that are happening and think it's not okay in any given moment that we're working and trying to balance things. And the kids have to get here and there, and I didn't complete everything I wanted to in my business, and whatever. We can make up all sorts of stories about how it's not okay. And I just tell myself all the time, it's okay. Listen, I got coronavirus this month, and much of my parenting and working went out the window. When you're sick and you're on the couch, you have to let things go. And never once did I tell myself this isn't okay or this is a problem. Those stories don't serve me. I'm like, it's okay. Everything's okay. Whatever happens in any given moment or on any given day, it's okay. If I make a mistake, it's okay. If I accidentally offend someone, it's okay. If I have an amazing day in my business, it's okay. All of it. I don't need to fight reality and tell myself it's not okay. I can just be okay with whatever comes my way, and then I'll just go do the next thing.
That's really good advice. And I think, especially for the working mom, like we need to hear that because I think, working moms are juggling so many balls in the air and they put so much immense pressure on themselves and expectations that a lot of other people, even their managers or their families or their friends or whomever, aren't even thinking about. They're just kind of, again, creating that story that this all needs to get done and it's all falling on me. And sometimes, part of it's true, right? We do have a lot of responsibilities, but part of that is just that pressure we're putting on ourselves and being able to just tell yourself that's okay and not get it all done or take that break when you need it is so important. So I'm so glad that you said that.
Yes, so true.
Okay. And then what is one lesson that you want to leave our listeners with on this episode? And you've shared so many, but let us know your parting words before we dive into our fun lightning round.
Yeah, I would love to leave you, especially after what you just said. I would love to leave you guys with have to versus choose to. All this stuff that we think is falling on us, all the things that we think are our responsibility, we tell ourselves a story all the time that we have to do it. That is disempowering because then it's just this pile of stuff that's coming at us and we have to do it. We're no longer in control. The pile of stuff we have to do is dictating our lives. That's not true at all. What's true is we don't have to do anything. I proved that when I sat with a virus. I didn't have to do anything. I could just sit on the couch. One of the other things is as a working mom, I'm in business for myself right now. Prior to that, I spent 5 years working for a nonprofit that was go, go, go all the time, a lot of extra hours. And my kids, that's when my kids were in sports and all this. It was one of the busiest times of my life. And every time I tell myself, I have to do all this stuff, I was overwhelmed and stressed. I never had to do any of it. I chose to. At any time, whatever it is you're doing, don't tell yourself the story you have to do it. You're going to feel disempowered and like a victim of whatever it is that you have to do. You don't have to do any of it. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Like cook. When I was so busy, I used to tell myself I have to cook dinner. I have to cook dinner. I have to cook dinner. I finally decided I don't have to cook dinner at all. We'll get pizza. My husband will cook. They'll learn to cook. Make a sandwich. I don't have to do any of it. I might choose to. That's empowering. I have a stack of work on my desk. I choose to do it because I care about my job. I don't have to. I could scroll Instagram, but I choose to do my pile of work because I care about stuff. I don't have to sit down and work my business this today, but I choose to because I have a vision of helping people. That's why I started this. So let's not have to do anything ever again. We choose to because of who we are and who we want to be and what we want to contribute to the world.
Yes. Oh, Diana, so inspiring. I love it. And so this will so resonate, I know, with our audience. So I so appreciate that. All right. Before we wrap up this conversation, I do want to ask you some fun, random questions in our lightning round, just so our listeners can get to know you a little bit more on a personal level. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What is your guilty pleasure TV show?
Right now, well, there's a couple. I've been binge watching and now we're caught up. With my husband and my 12-year-old daughter, we watched Curse of Oak Island on the History Channel. It's like this slow moving treasure hunt show that will suck you in. I love it.
Nice. Okay. Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
People might not believe it after the way I talk, but I'm quite the introvert. I am a homebody through and through. If somebody has a party, I will fight my brain to like, you aren't staying home, you're going to the party. You're not staying home, you're going to the party. I would like to just curl up in the corner with a blanket and tea anytime.
That's so funny. Have you read that book? I'm sorry I'm late. I didn't want to come.
No, but it's like I should. I think I'd really enjoy it.
All right. If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be? Calories don't count.
Watermelon, hands down.
Oh my gosh, you are not the first guest who has said that.
In summer, I get a watermelon. I cut it in half. I put half of what I cut up in the fridge. And if it's a smaller watermelon, not the mega ones, but then I'll just sit and eat the other half.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, who doesn't like watermelon? That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Nail salon, hair salon, or spa. You can only pick one place to visit for the rest of your life. Which one is it?
Spa. I need a massage. I have to.
Yes. What's one app you cannot live without?
The Webster Merriam Dictionary. I am a wordy. I love words. I love semantics. I love definitions.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Diana. This has been such a fun conversation, and I have learned so much, and I know our listeners are going to resonate with a lot of what you said. Before we head out, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you?
If you liked the tools I was sharing, how to construct and be in charge of what you're thinking and feeling and doing and all of that, you should totally check out the Renew Your Mind podcast. It's on iTunes and Spotify and almost all the other places you can get a podcast. And I love connecting with people. I love having conversations. So please come find me at Instagram at Diana Swillinger. If you don't know how to spell my name, it'd probably be in the notes. But I'd love to connect with you there and keep the conversation going.
Yeah. Yes. All right. Amazing. Well, thanks again, Diana, for being here.
You're welcome. This was super fun. So nice to be here.
You've been listening to the Mama Work It podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this episode and would love if you could take a quick minute to leave me a review on whichever platform you're listening from, and maybe even send a note to a fellow mama friend recommending it. Reviews and recs help this podcast grow and reach more like-minded, awesome moms. And if you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click that button so we can stay in touch, girl. By the way, if you haven't checked out the Mama Work It website, please do. There are lots of free resources and great articles there that can help you with the juggle of work life, mom life, wife life, fill in the blank life. So head on over. Thanks again for being part of the tribe. I'll see you soon, but in the meantime, keep on working it, mama.